Hey gang, Paul with Stud Pack 2 here. In our last video, you saw Summer, Rad, and I start on their new dining room table. Super excited about it. It's coming out great, and we still have a lot of work to do. Let's jump right into it. All right, guys, that's what 80 screws through all our slots looks like. And I gotta say, I'm really happy with it. When I come down here and sight across our plywood, everything's perfectly flat. Really love it. So let's flip it over, and we're actually gonna cut part of this end off because it is the worst end of the table. So they can use this for maybe a little table somewhere else. We'll start rough sanding the top.
Cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nice and flat.
All right, Summer did not want to use the router, but she wants to use the track saw. So on a fest tool, if it's green, it has a function. So to start it, you're going to use your left thumb, and you're going to push up on this. See that right there? That's your lock. Now it can pivot. So you're going to push up with your left thumb, and now you can squeeze the trigger, and it'll start. Once it's started, two hands, one here, one where my left hand is, and you're going to plunge all the way till it stops, and you're just going to head across.
Okay.
Got it? Let me get you some glasses.
Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Okay, so up. Oh gosh, that was fast. Up. Press the button.
Yep.
Nice job!
Nice.
That was fun, but it was kind of hard too.
Yeah, that was a hard cut.
It was a hard cut. Yeah, it's the hardest cut I've ever made.
All right, we spent all that time working on the bottom. Here's the top. So we're going to do a little quick rough sanding, knock off the edges. And we haven't cut this to size yet because sometimes when you're sanding and you get near the edge, you have a tendency to do this, maybe if you're not paying attention, and you'll round over or sand more along the edges. So we're going to give it a rough sanding first, cut it to size, and if we happen to mess up the edge, actually all that's going to get cut off. Let's start sanding, brother. All right, guys, check it out. It's looking like a table. Rad's been out here like 30, 40 minutes, and that's just the rough sand. Imagine how nice it's going to look when we're all done. You like it, Summer?
I love it.
You love it. It's looking like a table. Now we need to trim it to the final width and length. Remember, we said we're going to cut this to the final size after we sand. So my plywood is 3 3/4 back from this edge, and I want to reference that. How am I going to do it? I set my combination square to 4 inches. And the blade on this Klein square is 1 inch wide. So if I butt this against the plywood, boom. Now this is 4 inches from the plywood. Put my 1 inch blade against there. Now I know that that line is 3 inches from my plywood. We'll mark one on each side, make a rip. So we use the same technique on the end, this time with my torpedo level as a guide. So the blade of the combination square is against the plywood. That fits in there against my Festool track. Then I know we're cutting off 3/4 of an inch off the plywood. Rip it. Hey, Wood.
What's up? Yo!
Welcome to the furniture shop.
Yeah.
We have our table all cut to size. Our next step, we're going to put a little 3/4 inch band all the way around it, about 2.5 inches tall. Table saw's set up. Let's rip our apron, install it on our table. All right, we did the apron over here, so let's show you how we did it. Jordan's got a scrap cut with a 45 on the end, so he's getting his miter perfect.
It is.
We're letting the table tell us the length. We're not relying on a tape measure. Then I'm going to mark that. Mark it in my square, go cut it. You lined up, Jordan?
Yes, sir.
Here's our cut. So we got this little gap we want to fill. Probably one of the oldest tricks in the book, a little glue, a little of the sawdust we use when we're actually cutting this wood. So we're gonna make a little paste, put it in the crack, and you'll never know it was there. All right, guys, our glue putty has dried. We're ready to sand it. So you may be wondering, what is the size of your table? Check this out. It is 55.5 wide and, drum roll, 78 long. What a perfect size for that room. Can't wait to see it in there. So now we're gonna sand it again. We're gonna switch to 80 grit. Remember, we did our rough sanding with 50. So we're gonna use 80 on the perimeter, and we're gonna bring the apron we put right here down flush. So we put the apron just a little proud of our table. We're gonna smooth that out with the sander. And then we're gonna do some finish sanding with our random orbit sander. You got the belt on here, Red?
Yes, sir.
Ready to go? Let's plug it in, get this guy sanded. All right, guys, table's looking really awesome. So Rad just switched to 120 grit. So he's gonna hit the whole table going this way. No more angles, right? We're gonna go this way in the direction of the grain of the wood. Really light passes. We're gonna use the light. It's gonna highlight any gouges for us so we can make sure we sand them out. I don't know if you can see, like right there, got a gouge. And over here, we'll get all those out. And then we'll finish it with the random orbit. All right, that was our final pass with 220, and this feels amazing. I was kind of skeptical when we first glued it up, but it came out great. So we got it inside, it looks great. Huh, baby?
Yes, I love it. It's like the perfect size for in here.
Yeah, it looks better in here than it did on the driveway.
Yeah, it does.
So the sun's setting, the sun's going down, so I'm gonna go home and get all this sawdust off of me. I'll see you tomorrow. Hey guys, a quick break in today's project to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, FlexiSpot. Now we've done a couple of ads for FlexiSpot on our channel before. We did the standing desk and another recliner. This is also the XL6, but it's the extra large, and we chose this beautiful gray upholstery. Let's put it together. It's really simple. Comes in 2 boxes, and you don't even need any tools. Let's take it for a test ride. Oh yeah, fully reclined, almost 180 degrees, and I can control the back and the footrest independently. And if you guys don't remember, this is a lift chair. See, it's actually picking me up, and it's easy for me to get out of the chair just like that. Great for the elderly, or it would have been great for me when I had my hip replaced and I couldn't get out of a chair. And then it also makes it easy to sit down. And you guys remember the first chair we showed you, the brown one, kind of looked like leather? That was the medium size, would hold up to 400 pounds. This XL version can hold up to 440 pounds. Now these lift chairs come with 2 remotes. You already saw me use the one that did the up-down function. The other one is for the heating and all the massage features of this awesome lift chair. It also has these side pockets where you can put your TV guide. Do they even still make TV guides?
What is that?
You know what that is? Oh, and one other cool feature, boom, nice little pillow if you need a little bit of extra lumbar support. Now, usually a lift chair like this with heating and massage is going to set you back almost $2,000. But you can get this one from FlexiSpot for just around $500. These chairs have a ton of features. You can check them out by using the link below in the description. And we're also going to put a code in the description that you can use to get $50 off. And if you need 2 chairs, the same deal applies. now you get $100 off. Thanks so much to FlexiSpot for sending us this XL6 lift chair and for sponsoring our video. We really appreciate it. We're going to head back to work, but first, I'm going to get a 10-minute massage. All right, guys, it is a few days later, and I want to show you how good the table came out. My daughter Summer sanded it, put some pre-stain on it right here, Minwax pre-stain wood conditioner, and then she stained it. She couldn't find a color she liked, so she made her own. She did 2/3 of Minwax weathered oak and 1/3 of Varathane espresso. Mixed it all together. It was perfect for her. She's got that on there, and then she put a water-based polyurethane. This is actually for floors. We picked that because it's really heavy duty. If it's good enough for a floor, it's going to hold up really well on the tabletop. But look how awesome this looks. And it's going to look great in this room. It's a little like distressed, not perfect, but that is kind of the look we were going after. So let's talk about the base. But first, a lot of you are going to notice that the kitchen looks a little different. So on our main channel, Stud Pack, we're actually doing the kitchen, kind of a whole downstairs remodel for Summer and Rad. We started here in the kitchen and dining room by opening up and removing this wall. If you check out down here, we have this concrete patch we made. It's rough. Don't worry about it. It's going to get covered with new floor. But we had 4 copper pipes coming out of here, and we had to reroute all that. So if you haven't checked out our other channel, go check out Stud Pack. Really appreciate the support over there as well. So Summer designed a simple trestle base for the table. 2 square ends connected by these stretchers. The height of it is 28.5 because our top is 1.5 inches thick. That means this top will be 30 inches above the floor. Most dining room tables are anywhere between 28 and 32 inches above the floor. Now this stand is 28.5 tall, like I said, but it's also 28.5 wide, and it's 51 long. Those dimensions mean that this post right here is going to be way in here. 14-inch overhang. Another reason we did the plywood underneath to give it strength. But that 14-inch overhang means somebody can sit at the table at the corner and they're not going to crash into a leg like we had a leg right here. It's going to be really comfortable to put 10 people, or probably a little more if you had a bunch of guests over around this table. They can all sit down, pull up to the table, and not crash into the base. Guys, back outside, got our saw set up. Now for our trestle base, we only need 10 pieces of wood. 4 for each frame, 2 frames, that's 8, and 2 for our stretchers. So we got our 8-foot 4x4s in the back of Rad's truck, and I only need 4 of them at $13 each to do the whole base. So I'm going to cut 8 at 32. I can get 3 out of each one and 2 at 48. So I'm going to get 3, 6, 7, 8. That's my sides, and my stretchers are 1, 2. Let's unload the truck, cut all these to length. Nice, so that gave us 9 of these. We only need 8, so we're going to kind of cull through them, and we'll pick out the worst one and use it for something else. Now we get a lot of questions about the kind of markers I use sometimes. So this is a Pica long life automatic pencil. Check this out. Really thick lead, doesn't break. You know, guys like us tend to break the little leads. And it's got a pencil sharpener in the end of the cap. These are really awesome. Sent to us by our friend Nick. Thank you, Nick. We'll put a link for these below if you're interested in upping your automatic pencil and marking game. All right, next step. And the next step is to make our 4x4s look better. It's a couple days later. That's why I'm in the long sleeves now. The temperature kind of dropped. Why do we want to make them look better? We don't want to put this 4x4 underneath our beautiful table base we made. We actually ran this one through our new tool, and look how nice it comes out. What is our new tool? Well, it's something I've been wanting a long time. This is a planer, guys. I bought the DeWalt. It's a portable planer. It's really the biggest machine you can get before you upgrade to like a floor-mounted planer. So I'm just going to go over a few of the features real fast. This is not intended to be a tool review. So this crank right here changes the thickness here. You can put in a thin piece of wood or a thicker one and raise the cutter head up and down. I love this gauge right here. It tells you on this little red arrow how much material you're removing. So for example, right now we'd be removing about 1/16 of an inch. If I raise this up, now I'm removing less material, and if I lower the cutter head, now I'm removing more material. Kind of a cool gauge to give you a sense for how much material you're taking off. This is the feed roller speed control. I can go faster or slower depending on what I want, whether I'm finishing the wood or I'm dimensioning it and I'm taking off a lot of wood. The cutter head speed never changes. You're just changing the speed of the feed rollers to get the desired finish on your piece of wood. onboard tool storage, love that. These aluminum wear plates, they're there for a very good reason. You're always gonna have somebody on the outfeed side of your planer, and they're gonna put them up there to send them back to you, the guy on this side, to take your next pass. This thing creates a ton of shavings. So this will be our first go with it, hooked up to our shop vac. One little thing about this arrangement, this hose does get in the way of your material coming out. So we're gonna see how this works, and then if it works well, we'll figure out a little boom arm or something. Rad, let's fire this thing up and plane some wood, make that table base. Now during the TL, you might have noticed that I was putting these in at an angle. Well, most of them. And there's a very good reason for that. That's so you're using the whole width of the blade. If you always feed your boards down the middle, you're always going to be using the middle of the blade. And you're going to dull the middle of the blade sooner than the rest. So the idea is let's use the whole blade. That's why I put them in at an angle. But towards the end, I was kind of feeding them in two at a time. And that's going to use up all the blade also. Now, a planer makes these two parallel. What it won't do is make these 90. And I'm gonna show you that here in a second. Let's keep planing some wood. All right, gang, we have all four sides, one pass through our planer. And remember I said earlier that a planer does not make the sides square. It makes the opposite sides parallel. Check this out. This one on your right, it is perfectly square. Look at that. We got lucky. In comparison, check out this one. You see the light right here? My starrett gauge is rocking a little bit, so we're not square. The only way to fix that is with a joiner. So I guess that is going to be my next purchase. But we're going to build the table with this. It'll be fine for what we're doing, kind of our farmhouse style table. The other thing about a planer is the direction of the feed. With this soft pine, I'm not worried about it. But check this out. If the grain was going this way, coming up like that, and the cutter head is turning clockwise, the knives are going to tend to lift this grain right here. So if I feed it the other direction, so the grain's this direction as it enters the tool, and the blades are coming this way, again, clockwise, it's not going to tend to lift that grain. Hope that makes sense. There's a lot to know about a planer. We're having fun with this one. So let's make another pass and sneak up on our final dimension. And what we're after this time is to get rid of the worst side. Like this side right here, these marks, that's from the banding on the pallet. Let's lower the cutter, see if we can remove those marks. And let me show you guys why we decided to hook up the shop vac to our new planer. All right, guys, planing makes a ton of wood chips. It filled up this bag in no time. So we just took the bag out of our vacuum. And here's a little tip for you. I have a sock over my pleated filter. This is a pool filter sock, and it's protecting the pleated filter. So when I pull this out and dump that, check it out. My pleated filter is still clean, and I just gotta brush the sawdust off of the pool filter. I'll put a link, and you can put that on your shop vac. It's an awesome addition and upgrade to your shop vac. All right, Rad, let's check our dimensions and see if we need to plane any more off of those 4x4s. Guys, what's our dimension right now? We want to check and see what it is and see if we want to go any farther. So we're at 3 5/16. So we've basically taken off 3/16 of an inch, like a fat 16th on either side. And we're looking pretty good. In other words, all these edges are square and most of the defects are out of the wood. But there was one, Rad, that was kind of bugging me. Oh, it's right here, look, on this corner. See that?
Yeah.
We could make another pass and get rid of that and get this down to like 3 1/4, or we could leave it at 3 5. And the other thing is, these bad parts on the end, those get cut off when we miter these. So what do you think?
Honestly,
guys like that?
Yeah, honestly, I think Summer and I would like it a bit thicker. So I think this is perfect. And we don't mind the rustic look, you know, little nicks here and there. That's totally fine with us.
It kind of goes with the farmhouse table look.
Oh, yeah.
So we're done planing?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That thing is awesome.
I want to plane some more wood. What can I plane? Oh, here's something.
Not the surfboards.
All right, guys, got 9 of our 4x4s cut at about 32 inches long. And we got 9 because we bought 3 8-footers at 96 inches, divided by 3 is 32. So we knew we would get 9. We only need 8, and that was all planned. Now we just have to pick out the worst one and throw it in the firewood pile. Which is the worst one? Well, we decided to go for squareness first, beauty second. Check this out. These are really square, and if I turn it, it should be square also. Nice. And we actually have 7 of them that are that same squareness, so we marked them all with an S. Now these 2 are not so square. A little bit of rock like we showed you earlier. So now it's a beauty contest. Which one loses the contest? This one right here with all these knots. So this one's gonna go in the fire pit. Now it's time to start building our frame, and we're gonna put a miter on both ends of all our 4x4s and build a square frame like that. And just like the beauty contest previous, the beauty contest continues. We're gonna cut off this knot right here when we make our miter. Always looking for the worst edge, the worst end, and we're gonna cut that off so it doesn't fight us later. All right, guys, we want all 8 of our pieces to be exactly the same length. So to measure each one, put a pencil mark, try to hit the pencil mark with the blade, no good. We set up like the cheapest stop block on the planet. This is just some scrap 2x4s we pulled out of our kitchen remodel that we're also working on right now. So I've got my 4x4 in my saw. I'm gonna slide it to the left just so it bumps my stop. That way we guarantee all 8 are exactly the same, no measuring. And our final measurement, long point to long point, 28.5.
Can I do one?
Of course.
Okay. Don't worry, guys. All right.
All right, go for it.
Really slow.
I like it. You're a perfectionist.
Oh, sure, yeah. Learn from this one.
All right, gang, we have all 8 pieces for our 2 end frames cut. We're gonna go like that, boom, and build a frame. Got 2 of them, and they'll be connected together with our 2 spreaders right over there. So I was trying to come up with a way that we could build the frame, make our miters tight, and add our hardware. So what I want to do, I want to glue this, even though it's end grain, the glue is going to help. And then say this is the floor right here. We're going to put a bolt into the bottom, into this end grain, and one in from the top into this end grain. It's going to be for strength, but you'll never see them because this is going to be on the floor and that'll be on the top. So how can I glue all these together with what I got at the job site right now? Check out what I came up with from the stuff in my truck. Here's one of my self-ratcheting ratchet straps, and I happen to have these corner protectors in the truck. I keep these under the back seat. If I ever have to move an appliance, I can put it around the corners. That way my ratchet straps don't dig into the appliance. Just one of those things dads keep in their truck, right? So that's gonna work great. We've got this tight, and man, is it strong. Our miters came out really nice, so we're gonna glue these, clamp it together, and build the other one, because I'm gonna cut these in half, enough for 2. Come back tomorrow, put in our hardware, attach our stretchers. You got a base for your table.
Do it.
All right, guys, before we put everything in the garage for the night, we thought we'd kind of pre-assemble everything, give you an idea of what the vision is. So the 2 ends, and then we're gonna have a stretcher. We got one at the bottom, and there'll also be one here across the top to help support the middle of the table. And I came up with a great idea of how to attach the stretchers to the frames without any exposed fasteners. That's kind of the theme here. We just wanna see wood, no bolts, no screws. I'm gonna bring these in the garage, let that glue dry up tonight. We'll see you tomorrow. We're gonna finish this table. All right, guys, it's the next day. We took the clamps off of our table bases. They came out great, and they're really strong, and they're actually pretty light. But remember, we're not gonna rely on this end grain glue joint for all of our strength. We probably could. That's how I'm feeling about it. It's really strong, but I don't want to take any chances. So we're gonna pin them together this way. with 2 structural screws in each joint. And we're going to put the structural screws through the top and through the bottom so they're completely hidden. Now, after we took the clamps off, Rad and I determined that this 4x4 right here was the worst of all 4, so we put it on the top. And this one was the worst, so it's going to be on the top. Just less likely to see it. Now, to put the structural screws in is a 3-step process. We got to drill 3 different size holes. The first one's going to be a Forstner bit so we can recess the bolt head. Let's get started. All right, a few quick dimensions for our first counter bore with the Forstner bit. We are 2 1/4 back from the corner with this pencil line, 7/8 from each edge. That's going to put me back here where I have more material rather than out here where it's thinner because of my miter. And I'm simply going to go the depth of the bit. In other words, I'm going to stop when this part is flush with the top of the wood. We're just going to eyeball that. Here we go. All right, drill bit number 2 is a 9/32. We're using 1/4 inch structural screws, and we don't want them biting in up here. We want them biting into this end grain, so we got a 5-inch screw. So we're going to drill a clearance hole from here to the miter. That means it's 2 1/4 inches deep. I got a piece of tape so I don't go too deep. Let's drill all those holes. All right, third drill bit, 5/32. I'm gonna drill a pilot hole for the structural screw. Probably don't need it, especially since it's pine, especially since it's thin grain, but it just take me a minute and I feel like it's gonna reduce any chances of me splitting that wood. Not much at all, huh? All right, guys, got all of our holes drilled, and Rad actually found 2 of these in his toolbox. Exactly the one we need, but not nearly enough. So a little road trip to find the rest of the screws, but it's gonna go like that and pin all 8 corners together. Now we're actually gonna use the same screw to attach our stretcher to our frames. We didn't wanna throw a bunch of woodworking joinery at you, mortise and tenons. There's all kind of ways to do this, but we figured let's just stay with the same screw. So we're gonna use it like a pocket screw. I have a pocket screw jig, but it's way too small for these. So I made my own. So here's how we made it. We needed an angled hole through a block of wood, but it's really difficult to drill an angled hole with a Forstner bit if you don't have a drill press. And we don't have one on site. So what I did, I drilled a straight hole through a block of wood like that. Remember, this is our piece we had left over. Drilled a straight hole with our Forstner bit. Very easy to do on a table with a drill. And then I cut the angles off. My saw went to 50 degrees, so that's the angle we made. And it gave us this little block right there that we can clamp and guide our drill bit. So we did a little test piece on the other end right here. And we determined that I want the end here 1.5 inches from the end of our block that we're drilling. And I wrote it on there to remind myself, and that way that gives us the perfect spacing. And now our screw won't come out of the bottom like it did right there. So we're ready to clamp this on here. I've got my line here, my line there. We're gonna line everything up, clamp it, and drill it. Let's go. All right, our jig is square. We're lined up with our marks. Let's drill a pocket hole. This is coming out great. Here's our bottom stretcher. You see our pocket holes, so they're gonna be on the bottom. Imagine this is our floor, totally hidden. Here is the top stretcher. Pocket holes on the top, again, totally hidden. We are almost ready to assemble our table base, but it does need a quick sanding. It'll be a lot easier to sand it now than it would be after it's all assembled. So Summer is ready with the sander, and then she's gonna condition it. So we're ready for stain. Let's do some sanding. Okay, gang, we told you we were gonna stain it. So we have a sample. Always stain the sample first, right? Before you stain your actual work. And this is the same stain we used on the tabletop. And it is way different, so different, we didn't like it. So we reached out to all our followers on Insta and did a poll. And the fan favorite was just paint the base black. So that's what we're gonna do. But before we do that, I think we wanna assemble the whole thing. The screws finally came in. You got them, Summer?
The rarest screws to ever exist.
We got them. So remember, we're gonna put this screw here. Got 2 of them each corner just to strengthen this joint because it's only glued right now. All right, let's put in all these screws.
Summer, you got your hair tied back today?
Oh yeah. Always.
Yeah.
We got all those screws in, came out great, and now we're ready to attach our stringers. And we're going to use the same pocket screw kind of idea. But if I were to put the pocket screw in like we did this one, it's going to pull this piece up just like it did on our test piece. And we don't want that to happen. We want it to be nice and flush. So we're going to use biscuits to keep it aligned. We're going to put it under some clamps with some glue for about an hour. Then we're going to come back and put in our screws for strength. Summer's going to do the biscuit. She's never done them before. She's all set up. I gave her a little lesson. It couldn't be any easier. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go. Table base is finally coming together. Come over here, Rad. We just lined up our marks we made for our biscuit here and here. We know those are in the center of each piece, so we just line them up. All right, Summer, you want to clamp that one? And then we, of course, double checked. Everything is 12 and 9/16 all the way around. We also checked this number right here. It's exactly 45, which is the length of our stretchers. It's 45 on Rad's side as well. And that's going to help us determine that they're not doing this. They're perfectly parallel. So we're going to let these bake in the clamps for about an hour, come back, take the clamps off, put in our bolts. Now this joint won't move. It's ready for paint. The glue's all set up. We took the clamps off, put it on the ground, and just like all of these holes, we got to drill a clearance hole for our bolt. Nice. That thing is strong. Coming along, our next step, we are going to use these clips to attach our tabletop to our base. This part right here is going to go into a biscuit slot. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So I got my biscuit joiner set for the depth I want. Just a little plunge. Remember, this is our top. So this leg is going to bite into that slot I just made, and this gets screwed to our top. I'm going to put 3 on this side, 3 on the other side, and 3 on each side of our stretcher. Our base is all done, all the screws are in, and it is so strong, doesn't move at all. So we realized since we're painting it, we had some big knots, and we want to fill those holes in. We had some Bondo laying around, so as you can see, we filled a bunch of the knots. So we're gonna let that sit up for about 10 minutes. It's ready for a sanding, ready for black paint. All right, our table base is all painted and it looks fantastic. Super happy with the way it came out. So a quick little tip, we put some drywall screws in the bottom when she was painting so she can paint the bottom. We can flip it over, it's sitting on the screws, and she can paint the rest of the top without messing up the bottom. So now it's the moment we've all been waiting for to attach the top, but there's something really important we have to do first. Already got 3 left, guys, and these clips are really simple. Just a little Z clip. It's gonna go in the groove we made with our biscuit joiner, just like that. Attach them with the included screws, and we are done. A lot of comments about these other screws right here that we didn't leave room on the end, like that one. You can't see it, but rest assured, there is room on this other side covered by that washer head, so we have full movement. Now, we did have to take out the 6 in the middle here, but now we have this clip holding the top down, so it's gonna stay flat on us. One more, we can flip it over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Woo! All right, guys, our table is 100% complete, and I gotta tell you, I love it. It came out fantastic. What do you think, Summer?
I also love it. I'm stoked on how it turned out. I think it's my favorite project that we've done together. Dad and I have done a lot of projects together over the years, shelves, plant stands, all kinds of things.
Yep.
And this is by far my favorite, and I can't wait to make memories at it. And it's so special. And I love it.
Y'all will have this forever. And so the reason the house is kind of a mess behind me, and especially behind Rad, is because we are completely renovating Summer and Rad's kitchen and dining room. That table is going to go way over there. Can't wait to see it in its final spot. Summer, what do you got?
I made this candle a couple months ago specifically to put on this table that we built. So there it is.
So we built a candle holder?
Essentially, yeah.
Well, I can't wait to have our first family meal at this table. Guys, if you're looking to build a table for your family, we hope you found some tips and tricks in this video. Thanks for watching. Please give us a like and a subscribe. Don't forget to check us out over on our main channel, Stud Pack, and we'll see you right back here on our next Stud Pack 2 video.